which is nearly as long as Panos, who is you're the chairman of the Greek Wind Energy Association and has been involved in the development of wind projects across Greece since the middle of the 90s, I think. Early 90s, middle?
No, middle.
In middle, not that. We've got Chris Hagiaras with us, who is from PwC and works he's the head of the M&A department in renewable energies, and he's going to give us a lot of interesting insights onto the more market-related issues. If you don't know Stella, you've not been concentrating. Stella is the head of Optima Energy and involved throughout Turner Energy and gives a lot of interesting insights on all aspects of both wind and also in supply and aggregations. And we've also got the great pleasure of having Dr. Li with us, who is from the China Renewable Energy Company. And I'm going to sit down now. Dr. Li, I think you're the person that we know less and we know the least about your company. So I wonder if you could just start by explaining to us a little bit about the China Energy's plans in Greece.
Thanks, Ms. Murray. Thanks for having me here. It's a great honor to attend such event, to have opportunity to talk about renewable energy in Greece. So it's my first time to come here. So please follow me. Introduce our company briefly. So China Energy Investment Group is one of the backbone energy enterprises in China, and it has entire industry chain, which include coal mining, power generation, transportation, chemical industry, and the investment of our group distribute many countries and regions in the world, such as Indonesia, South Africa, Greece, Australia. So China Energy Group is the world's largest coal production company, the world's largest thermal power production company, and the world's largest wind power production company, and the world's largest coal to oil chemical industry company. The revenue of our group is around 100 billion per year, and ranks 85th in 500 Fortune in 2022. So our company, we call China Energy Europe Renewable Energy Company, is based in Athens. We established a company in 2018. Now we are operate 4 wind farms with our partner together in North Greece, with a total capacity 78 megawatts. So we are the key enterprises for the group to implement we call internationalization strategy. So we are looking for more opportunities, more investment opportunities in renewable sector in Greece as well as in other countries in Europe and around the Mediterranean region. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now, we've been hearing a lot about the energy mix and how to make renewable energy sustainable. I think perhaps if I can start with you, Panos. Is the mix right at the moment? Is the way the market's going towards the most sustainable mix of renewable energies? Or is it something that we need to look at in relation to the role of onshore wind in the energy mix?
Okay, thank you, Virginia. You are touching a subject that is very high in our agenda the last couple of years. Why? Because, first of all, because we see a danger. We don't see a danger for one specific technology, we see a danger for the target of achieving, with a sustainable way and with a healthy way, high renewables penetration in the country. At the moment, the mix of the renewables is more or less balanced. As most of you are aware, we are speaking of around 5 gigawatt of wind and 5 gigawatt of PVs. We have recently conducted several studies to see, having, let's say, as a specific milestone 2030 and the target of 80% electricity production from renewables, what is the impact in the system in case we have, let's say, one-sided development of one of the technologies, PV or wind. The results that I suppose most of you have seen or read some, at least titles, is that only a balanced mix is optimizing the system. Otherwise, if any of the two technologies is dominating, then we have a lot of problems, which are problems affecting the market, are problems affecting the technical aspects of the grid, and there are problems also affecting the investors and the project companies that are going to realize these projects, because there is always the fear of high curtailments, especially for the PV projects. If they dominate the market, during the day hours, they will be needed to have severe curtailments. So, are we going towards this direction? I'm afraid not. And I'm afraid not, because if you see the trends of this year and of the years to follow, it seems that our system is somehow favoring, for reasons that we can explain, but it's a long discussion, are favoring the development of PVs against wind. Two figures, just for you to know what we are speaking about. 2022, 230 new megawatts of wind were installed and connected to the grid, versus 1,360 PVs. Next year, indeed, we have quite a lot. With the current situation, it's not quite a lot, but for the historical data of wind energy development in grid, we have 850 megawatt under construction as we speak, which is a good figure. But on the other side, we have more than 2 gigawatt of PVs, which are expected to be connected to the grid during 2023. So we see the trend that gradually PVs, if we do not make corrective actions, will dominate the system and we will face problems that the ones I described before.
Can you just explain very briefly why you need to mix the PV and onshore wind? How does the onshore wind support the PV rollout?
Okay. First of all, let's say the most critical parameter is the profile of the production, the daytime profile, but also periodical profile between summer and winter. Imagine a system that would have only wind, only PV, only PV. We would face two problems. First of all, massive curtailments or massive need for storage, because yes, storage is a solution, but it's not a solution for everything. And we need to optimize how much storage we need. Okay, and storage has also a cost. And it will impact in various ways the prices. So, a system dominated only by one technology, in the example that we are discussing is PV, we would face problems during the daytime because massive curtailments would need to happen during the noon hours, whereas we would lack, obviously, electricity during the night hours. Plus, there would be a lack of energy in total between summer and winter period. And this is more difficult to cover because storage has a short-term capacity usually in order to fill the gaps. Okay, if we speak a gap of winter versus summer, there is no storage technology and let's say commercial exploited concept that can give you such kind of massive fill the gaps solutions. Just an asterisk here. When we speak for storage, we have two technologies. We have the batteries and we have the pumps. The solution with the hydro pumps is somehow more favoring the problem that I'm discussing, but still there is a problem. So, one big problem is the technical aspect. The second problem is the cost issue, because as I said, massive introduction of storage will impact the prices. And the third problem is the pricing profile in the market, because very high wind penetration means more or less balanced penetration during the 24-hour profile. So the prices are indeed depressed, but they are not depressed massively, as will happen with massive PV deployment. Imagine that our calculations show that there will be a big number of hours that the prices will reach zero if we have huge penetration of PV. And this will impact all the renewables, but mainly will impact the renewables that are massively producing during the zero price hours, which are the PV. Okay, so the impact will be on the investors as well. It's what we all know as a cannibalization phenomenon. Okay.
Stella, I wonder if you would like to comment a little bit on the various measures that have been taken by the government, and we had some interesting discussion about that in the previous session. Is the government doing enough to support a sustainable energy mix? Are there new measures you'd like to see?
Good morning, first, and thank you, and Derek and everyone here. There have been significant changes the last few years in the renewable energy market, and from a regulation point of view, from a law point of view, pricing, state aid, tenders, even licensing. But there are still many things that have to be done. It is strange that still renewable and especially wind energy is an enemy for the public. We will discuss it later, but for me it is really strange because this year we all had the proof that our country was saved from renewable energy during this difficult winter, and we were in a much better position than other countries of Europe. Licensing has still some barriers and obstacles, and especially for wind energy. All these decisions about no-go areas. On the other hand, there are market issues and regulations that have to be advanced, and of course it is very important to advance and accelerate the storage penetration for Greek mix. We are running a period where there has been appearing the phenomenon of low demand and high renewable days with high renewable energy penetration in the system, in the mix. And I'm distressed because I'm reading things in the press, and I understand that this is what the public hears, that there will be problems probably with the system and the stability due to high renewable energy. This is totally wrong. This is a wrong message. Renewable energy is not the problem. High renewable energy penetration was a target, is still a target, and it is good that we have it. The lack of the systems and the rules that support this high wind, this high renewable penetration is the problem, not the energy. The energy should be there, but there should be also systems, rules, procedures, and operations for safe, for the safety of the system. The lack of the storage is a real problem. and it will be a problem for the next 2 or 3 years until hydro pump first station from Philohia from Terna Energy it will be in operation, and until some first batteries come to operation. Until then, we will face significant curtailments, the renewable energy producers, and I think that there should be some measures in place about how these rules apply, when they apply, and according to the contract terms of each station. We cannot curtail. There is a priority for the curtailment in different projects and technologies, and this should be in equal terms for all renewable energy producers. So the effort from our operators, TSO and DSO, is great and important in order not to have problems in the application of this curtailment. Thank you. So I think that these are the things that have to be done in order to support this high renewable energy penetration and the further deployment of an equal, I agree very much with Panagiotis on that, a balanced mix of energy between wind and solar, because it is very important not to cannibalize the prices on one hand and not to create problems to the system on the other.
Thank you.
Can I make one comment fast? Very fast.
Quick.
Very quick. I don't want to create the impression to the audience that when we speak of curtailments, that this is a real problem now. Because when Stella and I speak of a lot of curtailment, we speak for a couple of days or a few days, massive curtailments for a few days. It's not a real problem for the project per se now, but it will become a real problem within the next decade if we don't do the right measures. So, basically, for banks here, I don't want to create the impression that the projects are suffering.
But Chris, I think perhaps that's a very good place for you to come in. You're involved in a lot of M&As in this sector. Is onshore wind still attractive to investors?
Thank you, Virginia. Yes, so I do share some of the concerns that Panagiotis has, indeed. In short, yes, onshore wind is potentially an appealing investment because it does have an appealing characteristic, and that appealing characteristic for investors is the fact that you could spread out the energy generation throughout the day and through the seasons, as Panagiotis mentioned, and that translates to a potentially, say, higher prices for the electricity that you produce. So that is an appealing characteristic for wind as an investment, but it has to come with two major conditions for investors to be involved, especially if we were to compare it to other technologies. The first one is location. Location is extremely important for wind parks, and location matters because of the capacity factor, or of the energy that can be generated by a wind farm on a megawatt hours per megawatt. If it's less than 2,400, just to put a number up there, it becomes a bit less appealing because the investment to construct a wind farm is materially higher than the one needed for a PV. And the second thing that you need, which is a big condition as well, is the tariff that you are going to be remunerated. Exactly because the energy generated can vary depending on the location. Your second line of defense in terms of the revenue is the price that you're going to sell the electricity. And that's why we have seen wind farms that have older tariffs being extremely valuable to investors, or certainly investors are doing a big exercise and they're focusing a lot on forecasting what the right prices will be for the electricity that they will generate if they are to get involved with an onshore wind.
Yeah, that's the price per megawatt is a very interesting subject, obviously, to everyone here. And the Mr. Pendafilos was saying that there's going to be more auctions coming up. We all know that the programme has been approved. What would, can I just ask anyone in the panel who wants to express a view, what's your expectation of the wind auctions and where the prices will come out? I mean, I think, and you've mentioned this before, Panagiotis, that some of the people who were successful in auctions a couple of years back are looking at their prices and perhaps are not quite as pleased about them as they once were. Where do you think the prices are going to come out?
I can take a stab on that. Math is cruel.
We'll take you,
Yeah.
we'll hold you to it.
Sure, no problem. The math is cruel. When you compare wind and PV, there are two major differences. It needs twice as much to construct a wind farm versus a PV on a per megawatt basis, and on average, a wind farm will give you around 50%, maybe a little bit more, of the yield, of the energy that can be produced on a per megawatt basis versus the PV. So double the price for 50% more. The price that you sell needs to be higher in order for the returns to work. So, and the result is also telling of that. In the previous combined auction that we had with PVs and wind, not the very last one, the one before, there was no PV, there was no wind there. And it's normal, because if you have 38 euros per megawatt hour, then the investment for wind really cannot work. That was realized in the new combined auction, and there were thresholds saying that at least 30% of one technology needs to participate there. And what we saw was the price differential, and there was an around 20% price differential. You need this sort of price differential to exist for wind to be competitive versus the PV. But also we need to understand that the wind brings some attributes that the PV doesn't, so probably it is worth it. Although time will tell, it is probably worth it. So in terms of the future, I believe that competition will still prevail, and probably for PVs, I wouldn't be surprised if prices start falling again a little bit. For wind, I'm not very sure, because it wouldn't work as well. But also we need to have in mind, and I'll close with that the auction prices do take into account what is happening in the world and what kind of price curves you have. And right now, the wholesale prices are very high. If the projections are that this will fall, there is a big debate there. If the prices stay very high, then it's very difficult for auction prices to fall. But if indeed we return to some sort of normality, then competitive pressures, potentially, especially for PV, is going to drive auction prices down, in my view.
Stella, perhaps if I could ask you, obviously there was a discussion in the last panel, and we're all reading a lot, and Chris and I have both been involved in bilateral PPAs with either physical PPAs within the market and with suppliers, or virtual. How is that going to? Are we going to see a lot more of that in the onshore wind sector? Is that sector related at all, or how can they support the wind sector?
Well, PPA market is active in Greece at this moment currently, and it could have been more active if price cap was not applied. Price cap made the off-takers drawback. The first projects that were of interest for PPAs were solar, because the profile is more predictable and it's easier for the off-taker or for the consumer to predict the final energy cost based on a solar profile. But lately, I think that off-takers have understood that wind can provide a better price profile because there is production during the night or during periods where solar is not producing. This, and if someone looks at the price profile of the Henex market, one could see that there is a huge difference between noon and evening, more than 100 euros. So this brings wind in an attractive position for PPAs. I have to say here that our group, through Heron and Optimus, have signed first, of course, the in-house PPAs with Terna Energy renewable non-state aid projects, but they signed also another PPA with a 9 megawatt solar station of green, Ven Energy, for 12 years. And there is also another contract, large, that has been signed recently and will be released in a few days and be public information. And it is interesting because both Heron and Optimus, for the balancing cost, have agreed at a 10 and 12 years contract and committed to such energy purchase. I think so that the wind, the PPA market will grow constantly, and wind will take a large part of this market because of the attractiveness of the profile. But when price cap is going away, then we will see real good prices, better prices in PPA, in better terms.
Yeah. And Chris, presumably you also see bilateral PPAs in the context of the attractiveness of acquisitions, but also the easiness, the ease of financing construction.
Yes, so we've started seeing corporate PPAs being in discussions more and more, and going around the banks to finance some of these projects. It feels like the banks are more and more comfortable with that, very, very comfortable with that, I would say. What we also have seen, though, is that people are more comfortable, as Stella said, I concur that we see people being more comfortable on PPAs for PVs, exactly because they can calculate much more accurately what they're going to get. But so that I know Margaret is happy here a little bit because we have this massive comparison with PVs. I'll bring something which I was thinking. Although indeed people or investors seem to be a bit friendlier to PVs at the moment, currently. All these concerns with curtailment, with the fact that PVs won't be able to compete at night or during times that there is no sun. We've started seeing a turn of investors, a major turn, towards wind, with a view that longer term, or at least mid-term, if not this year or next year, essentially you will be able to achieve, even for corporate PPAs, when you will be in a position to do that, you will be able to achieve higher prices, because you can I'm going to use the technical terms, excuse me for that, because PV, you can have a corporate PPA at the price which is paid as produced, which let's say is in the 50s euros per megawatt hour. But for wind, the expectation is that because it resembles a base load, type of profile, you'll be able to achieve a corporate PPA which essentially is going to be maybe 30 or even more percent higher. That's the expectation, but we haven't seen that yet. But one other thing that I would like to say is that we spend, as PwC, as the M&A department, that we spent most of 2020, all of 2020 and most of 2021 dealing mostly with PV M&As on PVs. 2021, or a big part of 2021 and all of 2022, that has changed. Most of the deals, the vast majority of the deals that we've done, they are on wind, and corporate PPAs always features in the conversations and the pricing that you can achieve with these corporate PPAs. But corporate PPAs is the norm now. It will be the norm very soon.
Dr. Lee, can I ask you what makes Greek onshore wind attractive to your company? How do you deal with these risks?
Thanks for your question. So the question is onshore wind farm still attractive? I think maybe I can give you some example. The answer is yes. So in China, we have already have 760 gigawatts total wind and solar, among which 370 gigawatts for wind. So for our company, we already have 50 gigawatts wind farm in operation. Most of these wind farms are profitable. So what I'm trying to say is that in the process of development wind farm, we also face same question that I'm talking about. So several years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, no investor will interested in the projects with wind speed lower than 5 meters per second. So a lot of projects abandoned. Our company also give up some opportunities. But now, a lot of investors, they face very intensive competition to get the right to develop wind farm in such area. So I think because of technology innovation, I have some data. In the past 10 years, the efficiency of the equipment, the wind turbine, solar panel, increased 30%, and the cost of the equipment decreased 48% for wind and 70% for solar. So, higher efficiency and lower cost makes some projects used not to be attractive become attractive now. So I think this happened in China, and I think this will happen in Greece, and it will happen in Greece and in Europe. So we are optimistic about onshore wind market in Greece, and also we are very happy to share our experience, technology, and also some concept of management with our local partner to support the energy transition in Greece.
But I want to ask you something, Dr. Lee. You said less than 5 meters per second. 5?
Yes, 5.
So we were wondering whether we could have that.
This is very encouraging because it means that we have a lot of business to do in the following years. It's a quite low threshold, but it's very encouraging when you say. I have a comment, 2 comments. The first comment is, yes, technology has improved a lot in wind. We see projects more and more, let's say, becoming viable thanks to the high efficiency of new wind turbines. Some people speculate that, there is no future for offshore wind. The answer is no, there is the future. There are a lot of projects that are under development. And now, from what I see from you, there are much more than I ever imagined. Now, a comment also about the auctions. Auctions are good. We need auctions. And auctions have proven that they are the best tool to suppress the prices. you see also from this discussion, there is no possibility that from a corporate PPA or by other means you will achieve the very low prices that you are achieving thanks to auctions. Why? Because auctions give a 20-year visibility. The state is backing these projects, so the final end suppresses also the financial cost and minimizes also the expectations from the investor perspective. So auctions are good, PPAs are also good, they serve other issues. Projects working merchant are also good. We need all of them to have a high penetration. But the auction architecture has to improve. And I think this government has made some steps, but they need to make some more steps to improve the architecture of the auctions. Two improvements. One is the necessity of technology-specific auctions, or at least technology-neutral auctions with a minimum percentage for technologies. For the reasons that we explained in the beginning, we need a balanced development of renewables. Second, it is not the fact that the cheapest kilowatt hour is the best kilowatt hour. We have explained why, and I will give you a figure. The National Technical University of Athens, Professor Papathanasiou, has recently, let's say, made some rough calculations saying that the PV with batteries, in order to smooth a little bit the profile of the production, is adding to the cost of the kilowatt hour, of the solar kilowatt hour, something around 15 to 20 euros. So now, what is the cheapest technology? I'm not so sure. Okay. And the third thing is what you said, Virginia, before. The fact that the prices remain steady has proven that the prices after an auction has proven in all European countries that in timings like the one we are facing this period creates problems. What are we facing now? At least European equipment of wind turbines has increased the capex between 20 to 40% the last couple of years due to materials, supply chain problems, energy costs, etc., etc. So projects been awarded with an auction 3 years before are now struggling to achieve the returns that they were expecting at this period. What is the solution? The solution is what other countries like Portugal, for example, have already applied. The indexing of the prices. Prices could and should be indexed with some objective parameters. Let's not make the mathematical analysis now. From the moment that they were awarded in an auction versus the period that they are being realized. Because especially in Greece, this period is prolonged due to bureaucracy, so uncertainty increases. Okay.
Exactly. I think that takes us smoothly on to the next issue. Now, it was being discussed in the last panel, and ultimately, the main problem facing all renewable energy development at the moment in Greece are grid, and grid. If you've got an auction price now, you don't know when you're going to be able to build it due to grid constraints and due to licensing constraints. Curtailments have been introduced under the law, and curtailments work differently for wind and PV. Is the law working effectively to distribute the curtailment risk fairly? Stella, I think you're probably...
You're talking about the new law,
Yes.
last summer law, with the different plans of curtailment for new projects. At first, there are some blur issues in this, in these terms. The law says that it won't be curtailed more than 5% of the annual energy. How this will be calculated? It is not clear. I feel that as a renewable producer, one is not very clear about it. This should be cleared out. I also believe that there should be taken into account some licensing procedures when that brings us the final capacity to be installed close to the one that TSO is calculating to connect to the grid. This will bring an economy because no one wants to install more capacity than the one that can be produced. It is not sensible to curtail energy that can be produced. If you have bought a turbine or a solar panel and this can produce something, it is not economic to curtail it. So I think that there should be done some optimizations there. On the other hand, I think that there will be some opportunities about the curtailment regarding to the balancing market. We are almost ready to bring in operation our first dispatchable portfolio as Optimus, and we believe that there will be opportunities for the renewable energy producers, both solar and maybe more for wind, to provide balancing service during the hours that renewable energy has to be curtailed. And this is an opportunity that everyone has to take into account because it can bring more revenue to the station.
Thank you. Presumably, and you've all talked about storage, are you thinking about installing storage within new wind farms? Dr. Lee, is that something that you've done in other countries? Is it something you're considering here?
Yes. I think the storage is a key to develop large-scale renewable projects. In China, we have already built the world's largest renewable energy system, and the storage is a very important part of this new system, which can make electricity from renewable more stable, more friendly to the grid. So from our experience, we think we have to install a storage system in our electricity system in order to increase the penetration of the renewable. So yes, and also this is the storage is also included in our investment field. So we would like to have a win-win cooperation with our maybe local developer, local advisor, contractor to in this storage area.
Stella, Turner's obviously got the Amphilochia pump storage unit, but you've got other storage plans as well. Obviously, storage is vital for dealing with imbalances, particularly for wind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, storage is very important. We have invested in hydropower mainly, but also in batteries, plain batteries, and batteries behind the meter, especially in new solar. About wind and storage, we are also studying it. We don't have yet any specific plans. I think that there are every project, each project with its specific profile of production should be studied thoroughly in order to find the appropriate measure of storage and to see if it is viable to install it, because in some cases it's not viable. It depends also on the geography and the technology of the station, and it depends also on the final price that one group of stations can achieve, putting battery or not. My personal opinion is that the better setting is to have different batteries, different storage, and different renewable, and make contracts between them. I think that this is the best solution, because if each station installs behind the meter storage, there will not be an economy of scale. There will be lost money there.
The smaller battery that will be
Yes.
involved.
I think that contracts between stations providing specific services, either production or balancing, it's the best and most economical solution. This is my personal opinion.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to something which I think is some panelists has very strong views about. We have at the moment, we have a Minister of Energy and Environment, but sometimes it seems that the two are at least presented, as you said, Stella, as being conflicting. And whilst we've seen changes in the environmental licensing process, on the other hand, we have seen actual laws and proposals for others which limit the ability to install wind in the places where the wind blows the most, namely at the tops of mountains. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, about the untrodden mountains provisions and the special environmental studies that have been coming out and how they deal with wind.
Okay. First of all, the fact that we have a joint ministry with under one minister, I think is good, because imagine
It could
what
be the
happens.
first.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not a problem of the architecture of the ministry. It's usually it's a problem of the mentality of some people in the administration, and I'm not speaking for the ministry. I'm speaking usually of the regional administration, the regional authorities, etc. This last period, for example, we are facing a quite weird situation where Europe is speaking for go-to areas for renewables, and Greece is speaking for no-go areas for renewables. So we go to the totally different direction, okay? The concept of the special environmental studies in the protection area, the Natura areas, and the protection framework, blah blah blah. It's a good discussion. Of course, each country needs to have a protection environment, but we see that there is a huge exaggeration during at least the studies that we have seen under public consultation. And as Wind Association, we have issued some, let's say, warnings that this approach is extremely against the further exploitation not only of wind, also of PV, because the concept is do nothing in these areas, but wind is mostly threatened because, as we have analyzed in some studies, there is a strong positive correlation between high altitude areas and high windy areas. So if you want to have real exploitation with high capacity factor, as Chris said, then you need to go high. If you go high, usually you have areas which are, at least in our country, considered sometimes justifiably, sometimes not so justifiably, Natura areas, blah blah blah. So there is a correlation. So we need to coexist, and I believe we can coexist. If one side of the two believes that leave it as it is, do nothing, and unfortunately this is what we experience in Greece, then practically we say no to the biggest percentage of the good sites in Greece. We cannot do that. Experience shows, as we speak, that more than 25% of the operational fleet of wind turbines in the country is operating many years in Natura areas. We have not experienced the disasters that some people were saying before the installation of these projects. Plus, most of these projects, the huge majority has been challenged in the High Court. And the High Court, obviously, since those projects are installed, has decided that projects can be done, they are legal, and they are no threat to the environment. And this has been proven to be correct. So I think that taking extreme positions is not a favor in any side, and the government has to see this quite carefully. So after having said all this, initiatives like the, I don't know how to call it,
Untrodden mountains, unspoiled mountains, yeah.
whatever it
Translation.
is, the so-called apathic communities, are not serving the concept that we are discussing. And also the process of announcing these mountains. I mean, one day the Prime Minister of the country goes to an area and says, I will declare this apathic of the north. Whereas on the other side, for Natura areas, you have a process that lasts more than 10 years, does not match one with the other. So there has to be consistency, and there has to be, let's say, a process that everybody is respected and we serve the purpose. Let's not forget that wind energy is the biggest, let's say, ally in the fight against climate change, and the biggest enemy of all these species is climate change. So we have to see the big picture, we have to zoom out there.
Is it Lynn's making? We've got 5 minutes. I've got loads more questions, but does anybody else have a question? Does anyone have a question that they would like to put to the panel at this stage? Thomas?
Yes, one of the topics that is a general question, I think we're talking about the challenges. In many of the panel discussion I have,
Can you wait a moment, please? Can you just wait a second?
I'm Mustafa Valorem. One of the things when we're talking about challenges, and what we see in Valorem the last 2-3 years that we are present in Greece, is about local acceptance. And to be honest, we face in many of our projects, not only us, but I speak with the other colleagues from other companies. And to be honest, I don't see any discussion in any of the parties how we can mitigate that. And this, for me, is a challenge that we need somehow to discuss in the conferences.
Thank you for that. It was the question, my very next question. I mean, I know, as the Hellenic Wind Energy Association, you've made a lot of efforts to try and increase. Have we seen any change in the public assessment of the significance of renewable energy in the current energy crisis? I mean, I know you pointed out that it's in fact wind has been one of the greatest funders of the subsidies that are paid to support consumer energy prices. Anyone want to comment on that?
I will repeat what I said. I think that this last year, a lot of people in our country understood that renewable energy is a great tool, and it was vital that our country had this renewable energy. I repeat that we were in a much better position than other countries in Europe. So I believe that a small part of the public is looking at renewable energy more positive now because they understand the value. Until now, everyone saying was renewable energy is expensive. Now we understood that renewable energy is not expensive, it's cheap, and it's there when we need it, and it provides security for our country. So I think that many people understood that, but they still want. Most of the people they feel that there is an environmental threat behind every, especially wind project, which is totally untrue in the vast majority of the cases, and this should be further communicated, I think, both from state and from industry, because it is a real pity to see that in 2023, in a modern country, in a European country, to say such things.
Yes. Perhaps we're not
I
talking.
would like also to hear the China's impression about it.
There is no other position in China in wind farms.
No.
This is the country. I have a comment. Look, we have made a lot of discussions about local position, and of course there are a lot of things to say from the other side that opposes. But today, because here the audience is mainly people coming from our sector, not from the opposition, I have to pass a message. It's also our responsibility of the companies here, okay? When you develop projects, you have to work very closely with the local authorities, with the local societies, with the local mayors, with the local stakeholders. You have to design very carefully your projects. You should not go to projects that are creating problems or will create a bad, let's say, reputation of wind energy in all the country. So, yes, the other side, the complainants, are making mistakes, they create fake news, they spread false alarms, yes, but we also make mistakes, and we also have to correct our mistakes. So there is also a part of responsibility on our side. We should not always cry. We have to act a lot proactively. A good developer is a developer that gives big focus not only on the capacity factor of the project, but also on the design of the project, on the roads, on the access roads, on the local society, and on measures that they can take in order to mitigate those problems. This is a good project, and this is a good developer. It's not only the capacity factor. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Can I just ask then, anyone on the panel who wants to talk a little bit about repowering, because there are a lot of sites, old sites in Greece, Dr. Lee, that have wind speeds which presumably a Chinese investor could only dream of, particularly in Evia, there's 9 meters per second. Do we have the structures set up for repowering these old projects? What else needs to be done?
You want me?
Go on. Unless anybody else wants.
No.
I think not yet. I think that we miss some rules in order to have a proper repowering.
Yeah.
Just may I make a comment there? Again, I'll go from the investors' side of things, the numerical. Repowering is a great opportunity for wind projects because a lot of the good sites are already in use, and some of them are pretty old, and they will have to. If you ask me, I think that they will have wind farms there for a very long time, not just after the useful life is done of the existing farm, because the capacity factors are very good. So we need a legal framework to make sure that anyone who looks at it from an investor's point of view, or from as an investment, knows what they're dealing with. Repowering is necessary because that's how you're going to utilize the high capacity areas. But what people don't know is under what circumstances, under what rules. What we've seen, if I just give a little bit of our experience on how people are looking at that, what we have seen is that just the very last few months, it is being incorporated into investors' thinking. What if I have a call option of repowering that I don't pay for right now? How valuable is that? And the conclusion is that it is valuable. It doesn't double your investment, but it is valuable. So it's something that hasn't been realized yet because it's something that no one knows how to exactly assess. But I think it's there, and we have old enough wind farms that make the debate very current now. I think that it will happen, in my view.
Thank you. I think we're out of time now, aren't we?
They have our dinner ready, but
Yeah, we can have like 5 minutes more.
Oh, okay. So, repowering is a way also to a certain extent to bypass some of the licensing delays, or it should be, because these are projects that already have environmental licensing. I wonder if that is the room for growth, for increasing onshore capacity, to make the best use of the best sites that have been taken up. I know that the Wind Energy Association had some comments and concerns about the special environmental studies and repowering, and their concerns that these blanket bans would be caught by repowering would be caught by that.
You want me to comment this?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, repowering is one of the futures of wind energy in the country. Not the only future. We have new sites as well. We have offshore wind as well. We did not discuss for offshore wind. Okay. Yeah. So yes, there is a tremendous potential of repowering. In my opinion, if projects that are going under repowering are going to participate in auction, you will see a huge press of the prices down, which is good, but also is a little dangerous. We should not cannibalize the prices. I think the legal framework has two phases. One phase says do repowering, it's good because we exploit new areas, and as you said, we have some special environmental studies ongoing in public consultation which say that if this area is considered to be XYZ protected, and we are speaking of huge areas, and within this area there is an operational project, the first draft was saying that the project has to go down, be dismantled, and to disappear. So we have operated 5 years, for example, go down and disappear. We said this is crazy. The ministry said, yes, of course it's crazy, but then why does it exist in the documents under public consultation? So the next, let's say, line of defense is that no, it's going to stay there for the lifetime of the 20 years, but then it's subject to go down. Our position is that why it's subject to go down, if it is proven that it does not create a problem in the area, if it is proven that it's, things are okay, it has to have the ability to be repowered. It has to have a fair chance to submit an environmental study and to prove to the authorities that it creates no problem. Because here we are discussing in these special environmental studies that it's going to be, by definition, cancelled. It will not have the chance to prove that it creates no problem. So this is important because a lot, I gave a figure before, a lot of projects theoretically could be in danger of not having the capability to be repowered. And those sites are something like the modern gold mines of wind energy we speak of. Tremendous wind potential, which is crazy not to exploit if you do not create an environmental issue. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be extreme care about how to install the large turbines in these places.
Yes.
This is a great issue, and it has to be dealt with flexibility, because otherwise we won't be able to use these places.
Yes, and the most important thing is that everyone has the right information and concerning the natural habitats that we're talking about and what needs to be protected and how to protect it, so that there's an informed discussion. I think that's the industry's view as well. Okay, well, I think our 5 minutes is up. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Regina, and thank you for running this.